Hey everybody, Tekking here. This is going to be a response video. I don't think I've ever done this before, or if I have, it's been a very long time. I don't usually do response videos to like other YouTubers that isn't supposed to be taken as like a comedic sketch or something. There's like a serious response to somebody. Alright, so I put out the Bleach Chapter 670 review today. Uploaded it just a few hours ago. It was a rather quick review, just because I was kind of pressed for time to get some other stuff done. And I know that there's another chapter being released in about 2 days, so I figured, might as well get that one out quick and then focus more on that one. Not, put all my eggs in one basket with that. I mean, it's already like 4 days late. But I was also looking through some of my messages I got today, and someone sent me a message on my fan page that basically is like, hey man, you gotta check out this King of Lightning video he made. Skip to about 3 minutes and 19 seconds in, and you're gonna watch him go off like crazy. And I'm like, okay, I didn't watch it right away, because I was busy working on the review. I'm like, I don't have time to watch that. I'm gonna work on my review now. So after I finished the review, I uploaded it, and I was thinking to myself, I'm kind of feel a little bit off. I feel like I should have mentioned if there was a few more things about Toshiro's Bankai that I was going to bring up, and I feel like I kind of rushed it at the last moment. I did talk about it a little bit, but I didn't go into as much detail as I figured. I don't usually do chapter follow-ups. So it was at that point I decided, okay, I'm going to go watch King go off on this, and I'm going to see what he's saying about it, because I heard through the grapevine he didn't care for it very much. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go watch to see what he's saying about it, and maybe I'll take his, what his complaints are about it, and I'll put together a couple of stuff that I wanted to say, and, well, I'll kind of kill two birds with one stone and make a solid video about it. So I just finished watching his, and he didn't go. I mean, he was pissed, but he didn't go off I've seen King rant more about other stuff. I know he's not so much a Toshiro Hitsugaya fan, but I've seen him rage over stuff on a larger scale than this. It wasn't like the end-all be-all. But he did bring up some points that I felt like I should address, so let's just go into this. The first thing he referred to it as is this occasion of Toshiro Hitsugaya unlocking his true maturity level of his Zanpakuto, his Bankai. Basically what happens was, in the chapter at the very end, it was revealed that his ice petals are not working as a timer to the end of his Bankai. They are working to a countdown until his Bankai is fully matured. And in the last scene, you have Toshiro emerging from the icy mist. The ice flowers have crumbled, and now you see him as an adult. He's gone through a transformation. He's an adult now. Kind of looks very similar to Ichigo, honestly, and the kind of same hairstyle. And his Bankai is altered a little bit. He has like armor now instead of just like the rough ice that's covering him. He's now has like a straight up ice armor. So the first thing he called this was a fairy tale level ass pull. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Basically, when I consider what I think I hate most about Fairy Tail, and what I would consider the biggest fault with like a Fairy Tail level ass pull, is when you have a character introduced that has a lot of really cool abilities, or like this is a power that is unmatched and it's like really cool, and then the way it's defeated is like the most bullshit way possible. Like, literally go watch the most recent Fairy Tail chapter if you want a good explanation of, this is a really badass power. Oh, it was defeated in a really shitty way, in a really lame way, yeah. That's what I would consider the most biggest of a Fairy Tail ass pull. That's not refuting your claim, that's just a difference of opinion. But the reason he was calling it a Fairy Tail ass pull, the reason that he hated this whole idea, was that he was like, okay, Kubo is completely retconning a concept that he firmly cemented in the series. That Toshiro Hitsugaya's ice flowers work as a countdown for his Bankai. Once the ice flowers go bye-bye, his Bankai goes bye-bye. That's what's set up now. Now, I went back, and I saw that Toshiro's... hold on, King had a comb in his hair the entire video, so I figured I should probably do that too. Yeah. That works. Anyway, yeah, so I went back and I actually checked to see all the different scenes with his Bankai. And I mentioned this in the review, but I wanted to see if there was ever a moment in the series where Toshiro straight out came up and to an opponent or somebody and legitimately said, my Bankai is a countdown. When the ice flowers disappear, my Bankai disappears. So the first time I ever went back was when, this is brought up with Xiaolong Kufeng, Grimjiao's Fraxion. The first time he used his Bankai was against Aizen. But none of this shit gets brought up with Aizen. Aizen pretty much, like, he goes Bankai, it's like for one page, it looks kind of badass. And then in the next page, Aizen immediately just cuts him down. Like, there's no time for explanation at all. So the next time he uses it against Xiaolong, and Toshiro himself does not really say much at all when Xiaolong's monologuing, basically. He's just going on that typical shonen cliche shit where he's like, you know, oh, your Bankai looks immature. Those ice flowers must be a countdown. You had 12 originally, now you're only down to 3. And now I assume that once your Bankai, when the ice flowers have disappeared, your Bankai will disappear. Now, Toshiro didn't do anything to confirm this or deny this. He doesn't really reference the ice flowers at all. In that one particular scene, it's all Xiaolong that's making that assumption. Alright? Now, at the end of that fight, you had the last ice flower, and I'll pull this up. I have this on the ready, because I just did the fucking review. In fact, I'll just go fucking screen share to show you this shit. Yeah, so, yeah, I was just watching King's video. That's my background. It's Rukia. Hi, Rukia. How you doing, girl? So, go in my archives here. This is where I keep all my shit. Okay, chapter 670. All right, oh, I don't know why that's in here. Okay, so at the very end here, these are, yeah, these are the photos from the chapter, all right? So, this is and you have to keep into account translations as well, but that doesn't change the fact that Toshiro really doesn't mention anything throughout this entire exchange. So yeah, you have Xiaolong there, and he's like, you know, your ice flowers are disappearing, and all that Toshiro says to that is like, okay, so what if they are? And then Xiaolong just goes on this monologue where he's explaining that the countdown of the ice flowers means the end of your Bankai. And he's making all these assumptions, and Toshiro's really not saying anything. Okay, so then we cut forward a little bit. I don't have screen caps of this, but then they release the Gentei Kaijo, they release the limit restraint, and then Toshiro cuts down Xiaolong, and then you cut to this one scene where the second to last ice flower, the penultimate ice flower, vanishes. Now, we still have one ice flower left here. And then in the very, very next scene, his Bankai begins to crack, and then, whoosh, just fucking mass of blood just gushing from Toshiro. And then he's just, like, splurting it, and then he looks like he's about to pass out. And then we don't see Toshiro for the rest of that entire chapter. Alright, that was the thumbnail I used. Okay, so, there's a few ways that I would look at this. Number one, we didn't actually see that last ice flower disappear. Alright? The fact that he's gushing blood, that's what got me the most confused. Because even if you want to say, alright, when the ice flowers disappear, his Bankai disappears, why the fuck is he, like, geysering blood? How does that make sense? Now, he was already in a tough fight with Xiaolong, but and I said in the review, maybe Xiaolong did that damage to him at the last minute, but I don't think that's the case, because after he released the Gentei Kaijo, Xiaolong couldn't even fucking touch him. Like, Toshiro, like, owned him. And it made it very clear, like, when that second-to-last ice flower vanished, that's when he fucking just geysered the blood. So, I guess what I'm going to say about that, the way that I should have put it in the review, is that if the second-to-last ice flower disappeared, it looks like he was about to gain his maturity, but his body wasn't ready for it yet. His body was not ready, in this case. Or maybe perhaps Yorimaru did not feel like he was ready, for whatever reason, to not attain his real Bankai, and that's why it physically damaged him. At any rate, there's no clear distinction, one way or the other, what the ice flowers do in this one fight. Now, King also brought up that there's been a few times where Toshiro's like, I need to train to get stronger. I need to train to increase the length of my Bankai. Now, I know my Bleach, but I'm not, like, Rain Man with this shit, alright? It might have been brought up at some point that I didn't find, and if someone could find that, I would be open to that, but when I'm thinking about, like, okay, what are all the times in the series that Toshiro was seen training with his Bankai? I'm like, all right. So, after the fight with Xiaolong, we don't really get to see Toshiro. We see him fight against Luffy. And I think that's one of the fights where the ice flowers, because Kubo's really weird with those ice flowers. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. They didn't show up that much against this fight with Luffy. They kind of showed up sometimes when he fought Holly-Bell, sometimes. But they don't always show up. Kubo doesn't always draw them. But I'm like, okay, he fought against Luffy. That fight really wasn't that, it wasn't really that iffy in Toshiro's case. He managed to take out Luffy, really no problems. The fight was interrupted, but he didn't seem to be, struggling with his Bankai or anything. And then after that, we don't really get to see Toshiro up until his fight with Holly-Bell. And there's certainly no training going on there. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the ice flowers don't play any play in that fight. Not really. I don't even think he really references them. He was too busy using ice clones that can only be used once, never referenced again in the entire series. Like that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of Toshiro. Like, I'm with King on that one. I really don't like his character. Because this shit like that gets pulled occasionally, like, oh, this is an ice clone, but I can only use it once. Why? Why can you only use it once? I don't know. Also, it can bleed. How? How the fucking ice bleed? I don't know. How come you've never used this ever again, not a single time in any other fight? I don't know. You just wanted to draw Toshiro getting fucked up and bloody so you get more views the next week, didn't you, Kubo? Yeah, that's pretty much it. But, yeah, so that's one problem I have with Toshiro. But, yeah, so after that, though, he goes to train in a cave at the end of the fight, right before the time skip. He gets to train in a fight. I mean, he gets to train in a cave. And I looked that up, him training in this cave. And he doesn't really reference the time getting longer. He just, like, I need to train the Bankai so I can freely use it better. Or, learn how to use the ice better. Or just something really vague like that. And maybe that might be an issue with translation, but he never clearly directly says, in that one scene where he's training in that cave, I need to train to increase the time limit of my Bankai. He never expressly mentions the time limit or the ice flowers. He just mentions I need to freely control Hiyori Maru better. That's like all he mentions, like something really vague like that. After that, I don't really think we get to see him anymore. He trains after he gets his Bankai stolen by King Du, but he doesn't, that's just basic, like, sword training and, like, learning how to refine his Shikai better because he knows his Bankai's stolen. He mentions, though, that when he's training, he's kind of, like, begrudging the fact that his Bankai got stolen because he mentions, like, I finally trained until I had a real Bankai and then I got it stolen from me. And he's really fucking pissed by that, but at the same time, he's like, I guess there's no crying over spilt milk. I gotta learn to get better. Now, keep in mind, that was high-pitched. Keep in mind, though, that he didn't really use his true Bankai at all during this final arc, except during this fight with Gerard. That was, like, the first time that he used it properly, because he used his... Okay, first time he used his Bankai in the first invasion against Kangdu, immediately gets fucking stolen. Immediately. Didn't even get a chance to pull anything out. Dagger and Yurimaru, Bankai! Well, that was gonna happen. Just... Boom, zoom, in the medallion, stolen. Then he gets his Bankai back against Kangdu when he, gets the hollow pill, and it becomes hollowified for a brief moment. It's not a permanent thing. It just becomes, like, briefly hollowified. But at this point, he's already fucking injured. Like, Basby burner fingered him, like, up. Like, he's, like, huge gashes all over the place, blood everywhere. He just had enough power to go into Bankai very briefly to kind of just freeze up his wounds, attack Kangdu with the ice, like the Ryu Senka shit, freeze him in the ice star, and then immediately passes the fuck out. So we didn't really get to see him use that Bankai to that extent at that point. Then he comes back as a zombie, goes into Bankai, and then immediately Mayuri infects him with that drug, and he didn't get to really show anything off there. And now, finally, he's using Bankai and his own will in a serious fight that's taking, a decent amount of time that he's not immediately, getting fucked up by. Alright, so this is the first legitimate time he's used his Bankai since his training after the fight with Aizen. Alright? So, when he's like, after he got it stolen, he's like, I finally trained to become a real Bankai, that's what he probably meant. So, I don't see any evidence that I've found that his Bankai, that he's ever expressly stated concretely, once these ice flowers are gone, Bankai's gone. Bankai's just deactivates, or it's gone, whatever. I can't find that. You know, if someone wants to find, like, scour all the scenes where Toshiro appears in, and every single scene, maybe he brings something like that up. But I've never seen him bring anything like that up. So, you know, open this thing there. King also mentioned that that someone sent him a message that okay. King mentioned that someone sent him a message that mentioned that Kubo was in an interview where he mentioned that, I'm not discrediting it, I'm just saying it's confusing to put that into, you know, sentence form, that Kubo mentioned in an interview that he had to, like, reimagine Toshiro's Bankai, or it got redesigned in some way. Now, there's, like, a pretty good compilation of Kubo's interviews on Bleach Wikia. I don't think that's all of them, and Kubo doesn't really do interviews all that often. Like, the last big interview he did was the one where he went to Germany, and that was, like, 3 years ago. The dude does not really do interviews that much. If someone could link me to that, I'm not really going to talk about that because I don't know the case. You know, if someone wants to link me the same thing King had about this interview where Kubo directly says, oh, I had to reimagine his Bankai, that's fine, you can send it to me. I don't know what this is, though. But also, but Kubo King kind of dismissed that either way. He's like, even if Kubo did say that, then fuck it, it's an asshole. I'm like, well, you know, like, once again, I don't see him actually stating, like, what the Ice Flower's true nature was. But Kubo is the ultimate law when it comes to Bleach. Like, he designed, I mean, is it going to be stupid? Yeah, maybe, that's up for debate. But, you know, if you know what, I'm not even going to dig myself a hole here. Just basically, just send me the interview if it exists, if you have the link to it, and then I might mention it later. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, King just goes on to say, you know, he changed the whole concept. From what I'm seeing, not really. There really wasn't a foundation for that concept to begin with. King also gets pissed that it shifts to Kenpachi, and I heard a lot of people complaining about this. Like, fuck it, we had a Kenpachi fight, and then Toshiro had to show up and ruin everything. Like, well, here's the thing. That's all subjective, because that's just based on your general feelings toward Toshiro. I don't really care for him. I know King pretty much hates him. But he's the most popular character, or at least last time I checked in the polls, which the last time there was even a popularity poll in Bleach was a long time ago, Toshiro was the most popular character. So it's no fucking mystery to me why, you know, Kubo's gonna, like, focus now on Toshiro doing a really badass transformation. That's no surprise to me why he's doing that. He's the most popular fucking character. You know, that's just the way it is. Now, I should bring up, this is the thing I wanted to bring up in the review, the concept of maturity. Alright, now, this is something that's been kind of made fun of for Toshiro's sake, because he's always, like, he's like a child prodigy, but at the same time, he's become a captain, and he's learned Bankai and shit like that. And a lot of people are wondering, like, how does aging really work in the Soul Society? Like, how does this work? You know, did they just, like, okay, we saw Byakuya in Turn Back the Pendulum, he was, like, teenage years, and now we see Byakuya in, like, his early 20s, you know, like, so, basically what I'm wondering is it, like, a gradual aging progression, or at some point, is it just, like, you go from little kid to just, boom, adult? Is it, like, a gradual transition, like regular aging, or is it just, like, a boom? You know, or in this case, Toshiro might be the enigma. He might be the thing that's different. You know, where he is an adult, it's just that his Bankai, you know, hinders his own, his own potential. And I would say that is bullshit, but then you have Kenpachi's Bankai, which, like, alters his fucking personality, and something that we've never seen in a Bankai before, so fuck it. All bets are off at this point, right? So, and, you know, this whole because the whole idea of, like, maturity, that gets brought up with Toshiro's character all the time. Like, every time someone brings him up, it's like, oh yeah, Toshiro, he's a child prodigy. Once he gets really mature, you know, once he really unlocks that power, it'll be a really big deal. Like, that's the way Shunsui brought it up when he was fighting Stark, you know? So, maybe, I mean, that's clearly what Kubo was going for, like, this kind of maturity. We assumed, like, it was just going to be, like, a gradual progression. But maybe, hey, maybe it was, like, his own Bankai, his own power was hindering him, and until he developed his Ryatsu to a certain point, or he developed his own body to a certain point, then Hyorimaru allowed him to have the full deluge of his powers. That's just my way of piecing this. I'm trying to piece this together, how it makes sense in Kubo's mind. You know? I'm trying to figure it, because I feel like I know this man. I feel like I really am trying to understand how the mind of Taito Kubo works. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go insane either, but, yeah. So that's basically what I wanted to bring up, the concept of maturity, the concept of, you know, him training, and you know, like, oh, this is a true Bankai now, like, that's what he really meant when he was saying that shit. I haven't seen anything really, you know, dedicatingly saying that he's under a time limit. But there's another way of looking at that, even. Like, let's say there is a point in the series where Toshiro says outright, I need to train on how long I can stay in Bankai. Maybe he meant the longer he stays in his Bankai, then he, like, okay, I'm trying to figure out a way to say this. It's not really fucking confusing. All right, hold on. All right, let's look at it this way. All right, that scene I just showed you right here, where the ice flower his ice flowers are disintegrating, all right? The second flower disintegrates, and then, boom, he's bleeding, he's done. Maybe he couldn't make it to the last ice flower. The last ice petal is like, maybe, you know, he would have achieved his maturity, but he just could not reach it. He can only get up to the second to last one, and then, boom, he suffered the consequences. So maybe when he's saying, I need to train to stay in the time of my Bankai, he means, like, I need to make it to the last petal. Not, I have to worry about getting to the last petal because that's the time limit, but I just need to try to reach that last one. Maybe. I don't know. But hopefully, the good news, there is good news here. There is kind of like a silver lining. This is such a big kind of mindfuck to a lot of people, and I know a lot of people are going to read this chapter and view it that way, that I think Kubo is probably going to bring this up in the next chapter, like, or at least bring it up at some point. Okay, like, you know, because this, I can understand how a lot of people would get confused by this. I can understand some people sending a lot of mail to Kubo, like, bro, what the hell? So I'm pretty sure this is going to be something that's going to be brought up in the next chapter, or very soon. You know, like, what the whole deal with the ice flowers really meant, what Hyorimaru's, maybe what Hyorimaru's, like, influences on this. But that's just my analysis. I just wanted to kind of respond to some stuff King said, and also elaborate on a few more things that I really kind of left out of the video that I wish I would have brought up. But anyway, I know this video is kind of getting on the long side. It's kind of getting to the length of a normal Bleach review, so hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, so that's my take on it. Anyway, I can't believe I dedicated a whole video to Toshiro. That's not something I've ever seriously considered I would do in my professional Bleach reviewing career. You know? I feel weird now. I feel really weird. Alright, I'm gonna go eat that watermelon. Alright, anyway, hope you guys enjoy. Tekking101 signing out. Bye. Ugh.